odds are if you guys are watching this video, you guys are probably very, very close to just saying like, I'm out, like rage quit, you know?
I quit.
I'm here to tell you that you probably shouldn't do that, just because there are some things that you should consider before doing that. Now, there are 2 reasons why you'd want to quit your job. 2 major reasons. I mean, there's obviously other reasons. A, you no longer want to be there. It no longer aligns with you. It doesn't serve you. Being at that job just doesn't help you in any way. If anything, it's actually causing more harm for you. Or B, there's another opportunity for you that is awaiting, and there's bigger and better that you already have lined up next. So you just need to go ahead and tell your boss, hey, I'm out of here, deuces. Regardless of where you guys are in terms of like route A or B, in between, maybe C, who knows. This next part about really evaluating why you're leaving your job and whether or not you're able to leave your job for your sanity is the next part. When it comes to evaluating your job, okay, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I know a lot of people that just really hate their freaking job and they just stay because of the stability, because they really just don't know what else could possibly be out there, and this is probably the best they can get. And it's kind of similar to like being in a toxic relationship, I'm not gonna lie. I'm naming these things and I'm kind of like, wait a minute. But yeah, like you just don't know if you can get another job that's better than this one. You feel stable and secure, but at the same time, like other aspects of this job is kind of like harming you in a sense, or not directly harming you, but it's not benefiting you. So what I recommend doing, if you're at the point where you're kind of like wishy-washy, like, oh my god, do I want to leave? Should I leave? Am I going to lose my mind knowing that I have no income coming in? So it sounds really basic, but you're going to make a chart that, and this is what I call the quit chart, or the hit it and quit it chart. Actually, I don't actually think I should name it that. I just made that up just now. But basically, on one side, you want to write all the things that you are concerned about or worried about if you were to quit this job right now. And on another side, you want to put the solutions you have to that, which you could do when you're out of the job. Now, for instance, a problem or concern that I was really worried about was the financial part of it. How am I going to make up a full-time income if I had really no backup plan or another job lined up? Another part was insurance. Insurance costs an arm and a freaking leg. Oh my god. So on the other side of the chart, you kind of want to write out, how can I combat this? What can I do to create a solution for this worry that I have if I were to quit this job? So financial. So I broke it up and I realized, you know, I can find another way to make money. There are tons of different ways to make money. OnlyFans. Okay, no, I didn't go that route. I would have. But in the most PG way possible. I probably would have been like recording myself reading a book. Okay, but anyways, not the point because I didn't do it. There are numerous ways to make money. The way that I figured it out for myself at that time, I was going to pick up a part-time job, and then I was going to start freelancing and doing some video editing work, and then I was going to focus on YouTube. Now, that's 3 different types of income to make up for this one stable, secure income. That was my solution for it. And I felt pretty good about it. Like I knew I was going to struggle with it for a while, but I knew that wasn't going to be my forever. That was going to be my starting place. So at that point, I felt pretty good about that. I was like, okay, that's a solid enough solution. The next part was insurance. God, I hate insurance. I mean, it's important to have insurance, but it's so freaking expensive. So with that part-time job that I was thinking of getting again, I knew that I could get insurance from there. Now, again, it's a huge pay cut, but this was the risk that I was willing to take just because of the circumstances at that time. My mental health was just nowhere where I wanted it to be, and I could just feel myself really, really giving up on myself, and it just wasn't healthy. Like, when I looked at those 2 component factors, it was enough for me to be like, okay, I think I can do this now. Okay, so after you reevaluate your job and realize, okay, deuces, I can go, and I'm okay with the solution that I've come up with, then you can just go about quitting.
I am done.
Easier said than freaking done, especially when you're one of those people that just feel guilty about everything. Oh my god. It took me 3 to 4 months to actually tell my boss that I wanted to quit. Like, I was thinking about it for a really, really long time. But it took me 3 to 4 months to build the courage. Before you quit, here are some things that you need to do. 1. Use up that vacation and sick time. You've earned it. you've worked for it. Actually go ahead and use it. Now, I know some companies will actually compensate you if you end up quitting and you have like leftover sick days or vacation days. But that's something that you have to read up on in like one of the packets that you filled out like when you first started that job. I would say like a good handful of companies do that, but not many do. So I would say just, you know, if you're planning this out, just plan your vacation, your sick days, and then you can come back and then be like, hey, deuces. The next thing too is like schedule some of your doctor's appointments as well. Don't know how insurance is going to work depending on what kind of route you're going with, but just go to the doctors. You already pay monthly for insurance. You might as well get some use out of it. Honestly, I know most of you guys probably don't even go to the doctors that much because you guys are just too busy working and you're like, oh my god, I can't like miss a work day to go to a doctor's appointment. After you've kind of done all that, now this is where you can really start figuring out how you're going to tell your boss, what you're going to say, and when you want to give your notice in, really. And this is just another helpful tip, but don't tell anybody you're quitting. That's how gossip and rumors start. Like, I know maybe you have like these really great work friends that you can be really honest with, but if word gets out that you're quitting before you even quit, that is so freaking awkward, first of all. And second of all, what if you change your mind? You know, I mean, like, some of you are like dead set on quitting, you know, but what if something happens where you need to keep the job? So don't tell anybody you're quitting until you know for a fact you're quitting, and the only person that you really need to discuss this with is your boss first. When it comes down to the conversation that you're going to have with your boss, this is kind of where you want to kind of plan out your thoughts, I guess, to make it easier for you. In situations like this, for me, I get very uncomfortable, so I felt like it was best for me to maybe just jot down why I'm quitting. I mean, I knew for a fact it had to do with my mental health, and I was kind of okay with sharing that. I didn't go too much into detail with it because that's very personal, but whatever it may be, I would suggest you be honest with your boss, and especially if there's some kind of issue within like the company or like the job or the role that you feel like could be improved for the next person, that's something you should definitely share there too. So after kind of talking about why you're quitting and being honest with them, they're going to ask you the offering part, right? Like, is there anything I can offer you to stay? And that's where you can kind of bring in some of the thoughts that you've had that we prepared before. And then if it'd be like, no, there's nothing else, I personally need to leave, then they'll go ahead and say the next part, which will be the training or onboarding of the next person, or how are you going to close off this job to hand off to the next person. I gave my job at the time a month's notice. Typically people give 2 weeks, sometimes it's even less than 2 weeks, but a respectable time period is 2 weeks. If you want to go ahead and train the next person, maybe stay a bit longer, that's completely up to you, but don't feel obligated to have to like extend the notice that you've gave just so you can accommodate your job. Again, this is easier said than done, and these conversations are literally the hardest to have, but once you're done, it just feels so good because it's like a weight has been lifted off of your shoulders. Now, I do want to note that if you are to give like a month's notice, it is a little awkward. I mean, depending on how your job is like, it was just low-key awkward for me because like I had to be like, yeah, I'm quitting in a month, quitting in 3 weeks, quitting in 2 weeks now. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of like a countdown because you'd oftentimes forget. Like, you'd mention it again once a month, and like within that month's time, a lot of people are going to go up and approach you. Maybe not. They'll approach you and ask, oh, how come? Like, what are you doing next? Like, you know, what are you going to be doing after this? And oftentimes people ask that question with really good intentions, but sometimes people don't, you know. I would just personally keep that information to myself, and that's just because you don't owe anyone an explanation, especially if it's just like random people from work. They're just like, oh, you know, what are you up to? It's more curiosity. And oftentimes once you tell them, they're like, oh, okay, cool, you know, go ahead, whatever. But I personally don't think you owe anyone an explanation as to what you're doing next, especially if you're not comfortable with sharing it. I think it's completely fine. I mean, you can leave it pretty vague too. Just be like, oh, I'm on to do something more closely related to what I'm passionate about, you know, something like that. And that's probably the honest truth too, right? Especially for me, when I absolutely had nothing planned out at that point, I felt so awkward in my head saying, like, the answer in my head would be, I don't know, I'm just quitting. You know, like, it just doesn't sound right. And I mean, I knew why I was quitting, and I knew what was going to be what was next for me. I just didn't feel so sure of it at that time, so I didn't want to share it. And that's just a friendly tip for you as well. So yeah, I hope that helped. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down below in the comments, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.